Okay, everybody, it's finally time. I know I've been talking about it a lot recently, but finally going to crack into the set booster box of Modern Horizons 2. I pre-ordered this thing before the release from TC's Rockets, and I've been holding on to it for this long already because I've had the opportunity to actually play Magic in the store, and I want to share those experiences with you. But without further ado, the first thing we're going to do is crack open this guy right here, this Modern Horizons pre-release pack. Now, Wizards of the Coast has notoriously, purposefully underprinted booster pack boxes to make sure that the stores are using them for events and they're not just being sold off to the customers. That is not the product that they want people just buying boxes of. It's the set booster boxes that they want people to buy just to crack open packs. However, for me, that's a little unfortunate because I also have my Chaos box of draft boosters. So to make sure I have at least 6 boosters of Modern Horizons 2 that are draftable, I went ahead and at the same time as pre-release purchased an extra pre-release pack. So we're not going to open up the booster packs that are in here, but what else does everybody don't know that's in this box? And that's that pre-release promo. So we are going to take a look and see that one card, see what we got inside here. And we're going to pull it out. Oh, it's a black card. It's a mythic, and it is Grief. How about that? Man, if you were going to pull a mythic in your pre-release pack, would you want anything else? I don't know about you, but that's really awesome. Of course, everything else in here are the tokens and things like that. But we're going to set that aside because, man, I hope that's not the best pull of the day. Or otherwise, I've really set myself up for a very long video. But let's hope that we continue on this train and keep pulling amazing stuff like that. And get into this guy right here. All the pomp and circumstance is over. It's time to get down to business. Like we say, don't talk about it, be about it. And we're about to be cracking some packs right here. So again, I'm going to do 1/3 of this box, which is going to be 10 packs. These set booster boxes have 30 booster packs in them. And then we'll open up the rest of them in later videos. But what I'm really looking forward is that guy right there. And maybe a few of the other squirrel cards, because as I've said in previous videos, when it comes down to things like Jumpstart and the packs that I'm designing, really looking forward to making some squirrel packs, or at least one squirrel pack with some of the cards that came from here, as well as some of the cards, other squirrel cards that have come out that aren't silver bordered. I'm going to stay away from the silver bordered stuff, but I think I'll have enough to at least make one squirrel pack out of the cards that are available here for my Jumpstart cube, a custom one there. But enough of that. Jumpstarts for another video. Let's see what we got inside here. Now the pull rates on these are drastically higher than the other booster packs. So the first thing we got, of course, is that ad card, or I'm sorry, art card, and then a basic land. And here we go. So Shiny, Tanglepool Bridge, Wave Sifter, Burdened Aerialist. So we got 4 commons, and now the commons and uncommons will fluctuate. So we'll have a handful of uncommons here, and there we go. That's what we're looking for in this pack, are those fetch lands. So who's excited that they're actually coming down in value? I know I am, even though I'm opening them right here, but they need that availability. They absolutely do. Everybody's been begging for them. People want to play Magic, and they want to play Magic with the best cards that are out there. And when it's too expensive to buy them, and they're not getting reprinted, that just kind of hurts a lot of the non-rotating formats, right? And then we end up with a mythic here, the Murktide Regent, which is a dragon, 5 generic and 2 blue for a 3/3, but it's got delve. So a 3/3 of flying for 7 is not great, but when you can delve out some spells out of your graveyard, and maybe you can make this a 3/3 for 2, and then it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each instant and sorcery card exiled with it. So if you're exiling instants and sorcery cards from your graveyard to cast this, not only are you making it cheaper, but you're also making it bigger, which can be very, very powerful in some instances. Then we have a Milliken, and then here we go, Squirrel Sovereign, yay, another card for the Squirrel Jumpstart Booster Pack, and then a Foil Abundant Harvest. Pay 1 green, choose land or non-land, and then reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a card of the chosen kind. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Saw this cast against me twice in Historic on Arena already today, so it's already seeing play out there, at least in Historic. Obviously, Historic isn't a paper format, but it doesn't mean that it can't be played in the other non-rotating formats as well. So maybe that will break into Modern. Here we've got Dakon Blackblade. Alternate art right there. That's a pretty sick little card. We got a foil forest, and then coming in here to the commons and uncommons. I don't know about you guys. There's a few uncommons that I'm really excited about, like Flametongue Youngling. I think that's pretty cool. Here we have a rare sketch card in Dress Down, white and a blue for a flash enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card, and then creatures lose all abilities. Then you have to sacrifice Dress Down at the end step. It's very interesting that this is an enchantment that sacrifices itself at the end of the end step. It's flash, so it's practically an instant speed, until end of turn all creatures lose abilities. However, if you have a way to, phase it out until the next turn, keep it around a little bit while longer. Otherwise, I don't really understand why it's an enchantment. Maybe somebody else does, and they can put that in the comments down below. But here we go with Gaia's Will as a second rare. Suspend 4 for a green. Until an attorney may play lands and cast spells from your graveyard. Or if a card will be put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, exile that card instead. So if you're a pretty fast green deck, I guess, or if you're sacrificing a lot of fetch lands and you want to be able to continue to go fetch, then you can cast Gaia's Will. It's going to take 4 turns for it to come into play anyway. So if you do that turn 1, and then you're fetching out lands, and then you can return some of your land or a land from a graveyard and keep going. And then we have Fire and Ice. It was a very, very popular card when it was in Standard. But just the ability to choose between these two mana instants, one being Shock and the other one being to ice down a creature, tap it down and draw a card. Very, very powerful. And here's Nested Shambler in the old border. So if I end up doing a Black Squirrel strategy, we might go with that. And then foil Echoing Return. All right, let's speed it up here a little bit. Don't want to take too much time getting to the good stuff. Again, there's a lot more good stuff in these packs compared to the draft boosters, just because these are the ones that they want people to open for the sake of opening booster packs. But here we have Launus, the Cryptozoologist. As our art card, we got a Plains. Loathsome Curator does a lot of work in Limited if you get a chance to draft that one, especially when you can recur it from the graveyard too if it ends up dying. But it's a really big body, and then being able to exploit maybe a token. Here's the old Glimmer Baron. Sacrifice a token and it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Going into that Squirrels deck, I think. Chef's Kiss was my promo card at the pre-release. The pseudo counter spell again in red. And then Yavimaya Elder. In the reprint slot, Old Border Areomoeba. And a foil Disciple of the Sun. We'll go ahead and throw those foil comments and comments over there. I'm not really big in making all the weird piles, because there's so many different variations that it just kind of makes it a little too tedious for me. I'll just go by rarity. And then if I have any really awesome cards, maybe I'll pull them out later if they're in the lower rarity spots there. But here we have Captain Ripley Vance, legendary creature, human pirate, 3/2 for 3 in red. And whenever you cast your third spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter. So that one is a little bit difficult. You better have a way to refill your hand. Here we have Out of Time, 1/2 white. For an enchantment that says, when Out of Time enters the battlefield, untap all creatures, then phase them out until Out of Time leaves the battlefield. Put a time counter on Out of Time for each creature phased out this way, and then it has Vanishing. So this is a pseudo board wipe, and it basically resets the board, except every single one of your upkeeps gets closer and closer returning everything. So if you're kind of a slower deck and you have bigger stuff to play later in the game, this can just pick up the entire board of the aggressive player that you're up against and then turn the battlefield into yours, because now you're casting bigger things and they don't even have little blockers for you anyway. There's the Gorilla Shaman and an Old Border Goblin Anachromancer. and a foil Storm Gods Oracle. And then here is a list card. First list card so far out of this box, I believe. And that's Vernal Equinox, which is a rare 3 and a green enchantment. Any player may play creature and enchantment spells anytime he or she could play an instant. So it's a green mana Vedalken Orrery-ish card. So in green, being able to cast creatures at instant speed can be very, very powerful. I might have to find a way to play that card too. And there's the Squirrel Master himself. So hopefully that's an omen that we're actually going to see it in this box, hopefully in this video. But we'll flip through here and see how close we actually get. Lucid Dreams, Altar of the Goyf. And our rare here is a Nettle Cyst. Artifact Equipment for 3. It's a living weapon, so it attaches itself to a black Phyrexian germ that you create when it enters the battlefield. And then an equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control with an equip cost of 2. And then we have a second rare here in Cursed Totem. 2 mana artifact. Activated abilities of creatures can't be activated. So there go all of your, mana dorks, your basically anything with an activated ability. Actually, everything with an activated ability. It turns off a lot of stuff. If you just want to play a bunch of big dumb idiots that don't have activated abilities, and then drop this on the battlefield and take away the value out of the mana that your opponent spent on their cards, it can really do that for you. Then we have Blossoming Calm for a white. You gain hexproof until your next turn. You gain 2 life, and it has rebound. So for 2 turns, you can protect yourself at least. It doesn't protect your board, but it protects you. And there's a foil Loathsome Curator. I can't even say that word. And then we have another list card in Soltari Monk. Now, this is the first time I've seen this one. White for a 2/1. Protection from black and shadow. Shadow, a very interesting pseudo flying. It not only does it limit what can block it by requiring blockers to have shadow, but it also cannot block except for creatures with shadow. So it basically creates like a whole nother battlefield for creatures to interact in that shadow realm. So pretty neat mechanic. I don't know if it'll ever come back like as a primary mechanic in a standard set, just because it is kind of awkward. But here we go, and damn, that's a nice card. Destroy target creature. A creature destroyed this way can't be regenerated for black. And it has Overload for 2 white to turn it into a Wrath of God. So 6 mana Wrath of God is kind of expensive, but the fact that you have a 2 mana creature removal spell on the top half of it, makes it all worth it. That flexibility, you cannot go wrong. Big pull right there. And then there's a Karmic Guide for the Angel Spirit. And then check out that sketch World Weary. That is just some creepy art, and it is even creepier in the sketch version. That is amazing. I might have to make that like my computer background or something. I don't know. Right now I got Seb McKinnon's Damnation on there, so it couldn't get any creepier than that, I don't think. And then a Glorified Enforcer and Young Pyromancer from the list. So that's 3 list cards in a row out of the first 6 packs. And we got 4 more to go in this first third of the box. Looking pretty good already. Big pulls like damn. And can't really complain. So here we go. Here's an artist signed card of the, which bridge is that? Slagwoods Bridge. Pretty neat right there. Looks like that's the red-green one, right? I don't know them all by name. Here's a Chatterstorm and a Dray Keeper. Blossom Bridge. Might have to, I don't know if I can make a 2-color Squirrels Jumpstart pack. I think it's, the 2 colors is really difficult to do. But we'll get back to that in a minute, because here it is. Dakkon the Shadow Slayer. For white, blue, and a black, Dakkon Shadow Slayer enters the battlefield with a number of loyalty counters on him equal to the number of lands you control. So it's at least a 3 loyalty Planeswalker, depending on when you play it in the game. But you get +1 to Surveil 2, -3 to exile a creature, or -6 put an artifact card from your hand or graveyard directly onto the battlefield. Now, I really don't know how many artifacts you just want to drop on the battlefield without having to pay them, but those first 2 abilities are huge. Being able to plus up and get some card selection, card advantage out off the top of your library, and then just minus him to permanently exile creatures is pretty awesome. And I foresee this going into my Sin triplets in that deck. So I'm definitely going to slot that in there, see how well it goes. Here's Zuran Orb, a 0-mana artifact that says sacrifice a land and gain 2 life. So when you have too many lands, you can go ahead and start just gaining life off it. Sketch Jade Avenger and a foil Tangle Pool Bridge. So back to the multicolored Jumpstart pack conversation there. It's, when you have 2 random booster packs and you're gonna have a very basic 2-color mana base most of the time there, because how often do you get 2 of the same color Jumpstart packs anyway? Having one of those already being 2 colors that may not match the other pack at all is pretty tough to deal with. I did make some blue-green snow ones out of some packs or some cards from Kaldheim and the original Modern Masters, and I'm hoping that kind of plays out correctly. But I haven't had a chance to test them yet. I'm looking forward to taking them to like a game night or something like that at a game store or with a group of buddies and playing them out to see how well they go. But other than that, I'm kind of iffy about the 2-color kind of Jumpstart packs. But looking at this here, we got Nykthos Paragon as our rare. That's 4 white for an enchantment creature, human soldier. It's a 4/6. So pretty big body on this one. And then whenever you gain life, you may put a +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. But that only happens once a turn. But that includes itself and anything else you have. So if you're in white and you're in like a token strategy, you're trying to go wide, you're going to be able to grow your creatures as long as you can keep this one safe and keep gaining life. Which isn't hard in white. It's got lifelink and everything else. So, and then here we have another rare in Wander. 3 and a blue for a creature incarnation. How about that for a subtype? It's a 2/2 with flying. And as long as Wonder is in your graveyard and you control an island, creatures you control have flying. So if this dies and you're in blue, so chances of you having an island are pretty high. Everything else you control has flying. And then a sketch card, Lens Flare. Foil Revolutionist. And onto the next pack. Now that zombie army, I've only seen one card in this set that says Amass. If there are more, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know. I'll be happy to look those up. But to use an entire token slot on a card that has an ability is not that great. I don't think they could have probably made it a little bit bigger of a thing in the set. But this set also is going in so many different directions that they can't spread it too far. Here's a Sketch Moderation. That's a pretty awesome looking card. These sketch cards are just amazing. Here's a Harmonic Prodigy. I know a lot of people have already been looking at what decks this thing can slot into. What other shaman and wizards have triggers that this thing can start duplicating. And I opened 2 of them in the pre-release. I did end up playing them in the red deck. They would only trigger each other or other wizards. So, it has its own prowess, but it doesn't double its own prowess trigger. And then here's a Soul Snare for a white. It's an enchantment. Pay 1 and sacrifice it. Exile target creature that's attacking you or a planeswalker you control. So on-board removal in white. Phantasmal Dreadmaw. And wow, would you look at that. Now, I opened up the non-foil version of this in the bundle that I opened in the previous video, and I also opened a dam in that one. So I guess my luck is going really well because there's a Dauthi Voidwalker in foil, black rare. It's a 3/2 creature with shadow, and if a card will be put in an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead with a void counter on it. And then anytime you feel like it, you can tap and sacrifice the Voidwalker to choose an exiled card that has a void counter on it and play it without paying its mana cost. That's pretty crazy. I like the foil too, because the foil, if you, in the non-foil version, right, the moon, you can tell is kind of behind him, but he's a shadow. But in the foil version, you feel like you see the landscape through him. in the reflection. That is just incredible. And then light up the stage there for the list card, another list card. So this row has been really good to us. I'm excited about this pack. The pulls out of these set boosters. I don't know if anybody who cracks packs why they would buy draft booster boxes. Oh, there's another signed art card, by the way. That's the Sword of Hearth and Home for anybody who hasn't seen that one yet. They're working towards all 10 swords now as they keep making those. But I don't know why, if anybody just wants to crack packs, why you would buy a draft booster. I mean, yeah, they're a little bit less expensive. Sure, if you can't afford the upcharge for a set booster, but it's not that much of an upcharge for a set booster, and the value in the distribution of the cards is just so much greater. But here's a lion, a diamond lion, and I saw a planeswalker, I think. Yeah. Oh no, not even. It's a dragon, legendary dragon, Piru the Volatile, 2 generic, 2 red, 2 white, and 2 black for a legendary creature, Elder Dragon, by the way. With flying and lifelink, it's a 7/7 for 8. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Piru the Volatile unless you pay red, white, and black. So a little less than half of its original casting cost. You have to continue to pay into it, and then when it dies, deal 7 damage to each non-legendary creature. I mean, hey, even if you can't pay it, you're going to basically wipe the rest of the board. Unless you have a bunch of legendary creatures. Like if you're playing legendary dragons, and they're not, and then this just blows up the board and you still have a bunch of big flyers because you couldn't afford 3 mana, that's pretty awesome. Then we have Flame Rift in the reprint slot, 1 in red for Flame Rift, deals 4 damage to each player. So multiplayer games, very powerful card there. And then we have Combine Chrysalis in this sketch card. And there's a foil Urban Daggertooth. Pretty cool. All right, so, I mean, we're getting off to a great start here in this pack, or in this set booster box. Let's do a real quick run through here. We got Piru. We got a foil Dauthi Voidwalker. We got a Wonder. We got Dagon Shadowslayer. And a Damn! As well as, you know, interesting little out of time Chef's Kiss, Fire and Ice. You know, a lot of good, you know, just good cards. Oh, and don't forget the 1 Arid Mesa that was in there right off the bat. So out of the first 10 packs, already a whole pile of rares and mythics. Lots of value. Lots of cards I'm looking forward to playing. I'm super stoked about opening the rest of this box. So you should be too. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so that you are notified when I do crack the rest of these packs. So you can see what other awesome stuff I pull out of it. And share the video with a friend to let them know that we're out here sharing our hobby together.